Who knew rubber bands make great shapes? Welcome back, friends. So this week I was searching the whole apartment looking for something that I could use with my jelly prints. I just wanted something unique, something just around the house. And I was looking everywhere, and I found this dried up rubber band ball that the rubber bands aren't even very stretchy anymore. I think they would probably break if I stretched them too far. But they're still sitting there next to my desk. So I decided to start pulling a couple of them out and using them on the Gelli Plate and see what happens. And I absolutely love the results, both the ghost and I don't know what to call it, but you'll see. You'll see. Let's get to it. Okay, so let's get started. We have some tube paint that I have both Blick and I have Liquitex Basics. And I'm just brayering it, getting not a totally even coat, but just sort of a somewhat blended background. And I'm registering the paper, meaning that I'm taping it down to my board so that when I lower the paper back down, it's going to be in the same spot. So my next layer is going to be Alizarin Crimson. And this I'm going to try to make an even, it's just one color. I'm going to try to get it as even and thin, nice thin coat. Now I'm randomly placing my rubber bands. And I love the ones that stayed all curled up like that. I have a couple. And this is like the first time I tried this, so I had no idea what was going to happen. I'm using deli paper to pick up the paint because I want the imprint that the rubber bands leave behind on the gel plate to print over my first background color that I printed. So I'm really getting in there between the rubber bands. And I also love the deli paper that I printed. And I'm laying that down while the paint is still wet. And this was such a surprise to me. I mean, I just think that's absolutely beautiful. So, of course, now I want to try one with black. I like contrast. So, I'm doing one that is blue on the top, yellow on the bottom. This is going to be my background sheet. This time I'm taping off on the side. This sheet is, I think it's the rice paper that I use. The first one that I did was copy paper. So this is a carbon black. It's my favorite black for some reason. I don't know why. But again, thin layer. You definitely want to make sure you have the thin layer of paint. Don't put too much. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing with the deli paper. And I'm sure I could use these deli papers too because I really loved some of the shapes that I got there as well. But look at how pretty that is. It's like a subtle ghost print. I mean, literally ghosts of rubber bands. Very subtle and very pretty. So I'm just going to keep going because I'm really loving the results. I just kept working fast. This is like a phthalo blue I'm using up in old tube of Liquitex that I had. Wasn't even sure it was still going to be good, but it is. And since I don't really use that kind of paint anymore, I thought, why not? Let's use some of this and see how it works on the Gelli Plate. It's expensive. Normally I wouldn't, if it was a paint that I was going to use for canvas, I wouldn't waste it on this. I try not to use super expensive paint on the Gelli Plate. And I'm just trying other darker shades to see. Now this one I'm going to let dry. I let it dry. And now I'm going to do a single pull. So I'm laying down some green. I found this apple green color. It's a craft paint. Never tried this paint on the plate before, but I figured let's give it a try. It kind of mixed with the blue paint a little bit. So I'm not really sure if this one came out that good. But I wanted to try this both ways, single pull and layered. So it wasn't too bad, wasn't as nice as the others. So I still had some paint on the plate, so I figured let's pull it. If I have a nice, what looks like a nice imprint that I could use for collage, I'm just gonna not waste it. Okay, now I've decided I'm going to use that for my background and then print on top of that. So now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm using some titanium white, and I am going to pull what I was doing on the deli paper before, but I'm going to put it over that green and blue that I just finished, the one that's registered, and we'll see what kind of result that gives us. So I think this is copy paper, which isn't very thin, so I wasn't really able to get in the middle of things, but I just love the way this came out, and I like how you can see through the titanium white. So since I have a ghost, I'm going to print over this one. So in some cases, when the paint is still wet enough, you can do that. It's a little more subtle, different look. So now I think this is black again, carbon black. Or it actually might be a different black because I think that is Amsterdam paint. I'll put everything in the description below. So I really like the black with this. It almost has an organic feel to it. So I found this pink craft paint, and I thought, in honor of Barbie, which is all in the news this week, I will do a pink one. This is not a color I would ever pick unless I was working on a flamingo, but let's do it. Let's give it a try. So obviously this is a single pull. So I'm doing a little bit of both. Multi-layers, one at a time, and a single pull. This actually came out pretty good, but I think I end up ruining it. You'll see. I decide that I'm going to mix it up by adding some other stencils to this. It was not such a great idea. But that's what happens when you're experimenting. Okay, so watch while I ruin this. I decided to lay down these masks that I made and to put some black paint through it. I guess the pink was just too much for me. I couldn't get over it. So I wanted to add some more black to it, and I put it right over the nice one that I just had. And I think the masks were a little bit too big, and they covered up a lot of the nice intricacy of the rubber bands. So that's the only reason why I say it was ruined. So now I found this nice purple. This is a Amsterdam paint, and I think it's a nice color, so I'm going to try to do it with, and I'm just like throwing them down this time to make it a little more random. And again, I'm going to pick up with the deli paper. So I just want to try different color combinations and see, you know, which ones I like best. So I think a little black paint got mixed in with the purple, but I think it looks good. So I'm back to my pink. Since I ruined the other one, I decided I'm going to give it another try. But this time I'm pairing it up with this apple green, which those two colors really look good together. And with the purple, I think it's also a great combination. Definitely outside of my comfort zone, but why not? I wanted to clean my brayer really good because I don't want that green to get muddied up. And this is rice paper. So I alternate. I don't know if you've noticed. Sometimes I like to use rice paper, sometimes copy paper. It's like an intuitive thing, my choice of paper. I don't really have a rhyme or reason why I do it, but sometimes it just feels like it's going to be best on the rice paper. So of course, because that was purple and it's a green background, it came out a little purplish brown, but I thought it was a really pretty color. I'm falling in love with that apple green paint. I have to go like track that down and find out where I bought it. That particular craft paint, and if I can find it, I will put it in a link below. It really does print very well, almost like the golden paints, because it's thin, fluid paint, and a lot cheaper than golden. So on this one, I did a layer of the green. I threw the rubber bands only on one side, and I'm trying to get that super larger positive or negative space, I guess, is what I'm going for here. And so I do like the way this looks. I end up adding to it later, you'll see. Also some of the purple that was still on the plate came up. And of course, I'm going to lay that on top of that other one. Maybe not that one, wait a second. So I'm just the part, the green paint that was on the side, I layered it on top of this one, and I definitely like the way that came out. So you know, sometimes if there's a little bit of wet paint on the plate and you think it'll improve a print, go for it. So I'm back to my Alizarin Crimson, one of my favorite colors, and I think I'm putting a little bit of purple on the edges. I'm going to blend them a little bit. One of my favorite color combinations is red and purple. So I'm going to do a background. I'm going to tape it down. And now I'm going to do a little bit of titanium white like I did on that green one previously. So I'm trying to also repeat my successes here. It also helps me not forget how I did it. And so I'm going more for that negative space look. And this is one of my favorites, I think. And I'm going to do a little bit more. These are the two that I was using. I'm going to try to blend it a little bit better. I have a cleaner plate this time. So I'm going to go for the same look. And I'm taping it down again. And again, titanium white. Cleaning my brayer. So of course by this time my rubber bands are really getting filled with paint, but they're still working really well. So I also like this one, but I think the first one came out better. I don't know, composition wise I think the other one was a little bit better. So now I'm going to pick up this ghost print that's left here with some purple. And I think this is the rice paper. I could usually tell because you could see through it a little bit more than you could with the copy paper, and it's a little bit larger. So this ghost print came out nice. And these are going to make great collage papers. I'm really very happy that I did this experiment. You just never know what you're going to find in your apartment or your house, especially in the kitchen. But this happened to be in my little home office. And I'm glad I didn't throw it out. So that I put over the purple. And that it's almost dry, so I know the deli paper is going to pick it up nicely. And that's also pretty nice collage paper. Even though I've already determined that the deli paper is not completely transparent, I'm not totally unhappy with it. So I'm going back to my black. I love black. And I thought that the rubber bands made the nicest imprint on the black. So now I'm going over that one I did previously, and I do like this one in the end. Sometimes when I do this, I'm like, oh God, I ruined it. But in this particular case, I'm very happy with this. So here are some of the successes, including the deli papers. So I really like how some of these came out. That pink and green one is one of my favorites as well. And of course, this last one is my absolute favorite. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hadn't had this much fun in a while. I mean, rubber bands, really, but I got some unique prints from it. I'm going to keep my dried up rubber band ball. So in case you don't know, I'm moving into my new studio this week, so hopefully I'm going to get this out on time. But next week I will try to give you a sneak peek in my new studio, which will not be all put together for sure. It will not be put together. But I'm going to try to make it somewhat presentable and give you a quick little sneak peek. So anyway, I'll see you next time. Don't forget, create, inspire, and share. Take care. Bye-bye.